What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Hope you're all doing well today. Today is a very different video to normal. I've been saying it on and off now, and I think the time has finally come where I need to try and make a track in this game. This process is probably going to take me a good few months. Knowing me, I'll probably start it, do a disgusting amount of hours back to back, and then put it on hold for a while. But this whole video is going to be me just kind of going through the process of making the track itself, not necessarily teaching others how to make one, because I'm going to be learning on the fly as well. But if we ever do get to the end of a finished track and I'm comfortable with it, I might go through the process of showing everyone how to make one as well, or even live stream making another one. I have no idea how long this video will be. As I say, I'm probably recording this now a very long way ahead of it all being finalised, but I imagine that there's going to be a hell of a lot of homework to do, a hell of a lot of tutorials to watch, and a hell of a lot of questions that I'm going to have to ask as well. So wish me luck, and we'll see how it goes. If you've been putting off buying that new MX gear, or you're just looking for some new daily MX related clothing, then head on over to fxrracing.com. Code MXPR_Lins15 at checkout will give you 15% off all motocross and lifestyle products. This code is applicable to the European, Swedish and Norwegian websites, not Canada or the USA. And whilst I've got your attention, you may as well subscribe to the channel. It's just one click of a button and it puts a big old smile on my face. Hope you enjoy the rest of the video. So I did actually forget to record day number one, which wasn't good whatsoever. So how it went down is it took me, I spent about 6 hours in total between watching through a bunch of Resolute Kraken's tutorial videos and downloading the relevant files. This is the Resolute Kraken MXB Track Builder Helper, which is a godsend, by the way. This is a must-have if you want to get into building tracks. And he has a few tutorials where you make a sample track with him and go through everything step by step. And I just want to show you where I got to at the end of day number one after about 6 hours. So if I go and load into map view right here, and we go to not Riverside, because that's my one that I've done today on day 2. Tracks, sample track, track map. So this is what I ended up with. So this height map is not created by me at all. This is a track called like 8 Mile or Longest Supercross track by Braden Carter in MX Simulator. And he did give me, or gave anyone permission to port this over to MX Bikes. I thought it would be a good idea to get it in bikes. It'd be a good way to test things out, get everything in the game. And on the surface, like, it looks really good. And there are some sections that actually ride quite nicely, which I'll show you in a second. However, there are quite a lot of things where the scaling is off, and it just means that the majority of the track does need rebuilding, which is not what I want to focus on right now, especially not a Supercross track by any means. I imagine that'd be quite difficult to get into. But I'll show you some laps around the track, or a few sections, sorry, and show you how it rides and why I kind of deterred away from this and went down a completely different route for day 2. So this is what the old track was looking like at the end of day 1 after about 6 hours invested into it in total. And by no means is it terrible. You know, you can get through the track. You can, I mean, I'm on a 450 right now and having to really stretch things out just to triple things normally. Can't really quad anything at all like you can on Sim. And that's the issue, is the scaling between Sim and MX Bikes is so different from each other. It's not just a case of slapping a track in the game and calling it a day. You know, you'd have to rebuild a hell of a lot of things, which I very quickly realised was a lot easier said than done, especially someone like me who has zero experience in actually building jumps in the first place. There's some wall jumps like this that they're very steep, that doesn't work with the MX Bikes physics, and the Supercross triples themselves that are built on this map are far too steep for MX Bikes as well. I tinkered about a lot with scale, because you can do that in the track helper itself, so without me actually rebuilding anything, you can mess around with the size and stuff. That affects the entirety of the track, not just one jump here and there. So end up never really working too well. So then in my mind I decided, okay, well, I'll go down the route of making my own thing. So then I'll I'll move on to day number 2, which I will show you right now, which is the day that I'm recording this. So then we get on to day number 2, which is where I'm talking right now, is I have spent 8 hours in total today to get literally just what you see in front of you here. So what this is inclusive of is going onto Google, getting the track that I want to replicate, which is what I'm doing now, replica track, getting it all in Photoshop, getting the size and everything right, messing about with the overlay a little bit to make it all look a bit more simplified. You have no idea how long it took me just to do simple things like the terrain and just the height map in general. The track itself all on flat ground in real life. This is a track called Riverside MX in the UK. It's no longer open at all. It closed in, I want to say, like 2016 or something like that. It's been closed for a long time. A very simple track. It's just like a bunch of tabletops and then a bunch of flat corners, which I think when I add a bunch of rough and ruts and stuff in will be really good fun. But we'll ignore this tabletop for now. Pretend this tabletop doesn't exist. Everything else took me probably about 3 or so hours maybe to get in here. So just like the outskirt hills and the track itself, even though it's just a PNG over top, so I know where I'm going. I have in Photoshop widened this a bit as well. It's quite a skinny track in real life, which I don't think would translate over well in game. However, I then spent the next 5 hours building this one single jump. And some of you might laugh. However, as someone who has very poor Photoshop skills, as someone who has never used Blender, never used L3DT, and has had very limited in the MX Simulator track editor, it's ridiculously difficult. I'm learning everything on the fly here. I want to give a massive shout out to everyone in the Earthworks Discord that's been helping me through this. I've had many questions. So I have built this jump so many times over in so many different programs, and I just couldn't get it how I wanted. So then a few guys, Nico was one of them, I think Dylan was another one, sent me some links on the actual sim forums of people explaining how to properly build jumps and ruts in Photoshop with using gradients and such. And then I built this, which is a jump I'm actually happy with. It actually rides well in game, and for 5 hours work, you know, that's not too bad. Maybe you multiply that by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Maybe we'll do that about 20 more times, 20 times 5 hours, and we'll see how it goes. But I'll show you how it rides in game real quick. So here we go. Not quite as impressive as the sim track that I copied over, but I like having the actual layout here on the floor as well. It gives me something to kind of go off of. I have realised I've just loaded the wrong version of the track, but you know what? Tabletop is still the same size, it's just in the wrong place. So let me show you real quick how she flows. I've tried to make it quite big so it flows nicely, but yeah, you get nice and steezy up and over and a really smooth landing too, and I'm happy with that. So I've just copy and pasted it directly in front of me where it should go, and for the sake of 2 days work, the fact that I've only done one tabletop, I think I should be a little bit ashamed by, but it's a very difficult process. I am earning a newfound respect for these track makers every single minute that I struggle with something on this game. It's not easy. Every different thing that you have to save needs to be in a different sort of format. MX Bikes is very particular overall, but I'm enjoying learning new things as well, whilst I'm getting frustrated at the same time. A lot of things I'm just Googling, a lot of it's Photoshop related, which is the main software that I'm using at the moment for building this. I'll show you what it looks like in Photoshop as well. So it probably doesn't look like much, but what we just rode is here. So this is where the sea was, over in the top corner. We've got the little ridge, and then this is the one tabletop that I've built. And I'm trying to be really organised with it, so I'm trying to create like backup templates of it, and I'm building it step by step and merging it together, and then making sure that I'm saving backups in case I mess any of the jumps up. We've just got the banking all around the outside as well, and this is really what I'm working with. So anything on here that you see is black is the lowest part of the map, anything that you see is white is the highest bit, and then the different gradients of grey are really the in-between. So if we come over to this jump here, the way I would be hitting it is from left to right. So you see it starts off, this is my ground level, this grey area, and then it slowly increases towards lighter and lighter grey. This is the flat of the tabletop, and then we've got the downslope here. And it's just really fun learning these things, to be honest. A lot harder than I thought, and such a small difference makes a big amount in game too. And then over here we've just got the layout as well. This was a lot different, to be fair. I've gone and coloured a bunch in, like all this at the bottom here was all different. I got this off of Google Earth, just took a print screen, copied it over with the help of TFC's tutorials. I say there's so many tutorials that I've been watching, and a lot of it is I'm trying to do my homework before I get too deep into things as well, but I am thoroughly enjoying it. Day 3 is going a lot better than the previous 2 days. I've got a lot of height mapping stuff done now. And if I come and show you what it kind of looks like, not in game, but you know, flying around in the map viewer, is in terms of just like jumps and stuff, I've got a lot of it mapped out. I just need to do kind of this last few corners. So we've got a right, a left, a right again. This is basically a kids track IRL, which I might turn into a separate turn track. But a little kind of change of plans really as well is the real life track. So after this set of 4 rollers that we turn left, there's no jump here. It's flat ground, and it's flat all the way around this corner, all the way along here, all the way around here. It's not until you get here that there's another just tiny tabletop. So I think I'm going to make it kind of like a semi-replica where the track layout in terms of turns and stuff is the same. However, I'm going to add a lot more kind of obstacles in there, whether it's tabletops or these are going to be sand rollers that I've got going through here as well. Just to make it a bit more fun in MX Bikes. Now, I can't imagine that just flat tracking absolutely everything is going to be a particularly fun experience, but a lot more comfortable in Photoshop today, making little micro adjustments to jumps here and there as I need to, finding out different techniques and stuff that I need to do. So I've got a few more jumps that I need to lay out, and what I want to do in this corner here is I want to kind of jump up onto a little platform, turn around and then jump back down. I think that would be quite nice and fun. And then we've just got tabletop, 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 tabletop. I think there's just tabletops everywhere on this place. Might try and mix them up a little bit like I've done here, just by having a massive double. So coming along very nicely, I think. There's one or two things I want to tweak, like the face of this single could be a bit better. It's a little bit too rolled off in my opinion. And maybe making this landing a bit steeper as well. I like this section here, and I think once I get ruts and roughness going into each of the turns as well, the jumps will make a lot more sense too. And there might even need to be some more tweaking in jump sizes, because I imagine some of them will now be harder to clear when we get some rough in there. But I like this section here, where you go inside and go double over these rollers, or you can go around the outside and quad all the way up and over. This jump's a very nice, fun one to whip to, but I'm happy with it so far. I've sunk far too many hours already into this. Probably about another 200 hours or so to go, I reckon, because once I've got all of the jumps placed in, I'm then going to go through with kind of like breaking bumps and start on ruts. I'll probably do ruts prior to breaking bumps. I think that makes more sense. And then after that, I need to start doing all the masking to get all of the, or just get it to look pretty, really. Have grass around the outsides, various like stages of dirt transitioning from off track to on track, so it's not just one flat texture. And then I'll probably go ask a bunch of questions about lighting and things like that as well, just things I've never ever touched on before. But yeah, there's day 3. Yeah, I can't lie, I've kind of been slacking on the whole documenting this process day by day. We are at the end of week 1 now. I have taken a 2-day break from making anything, and I think it's been like a 3 or 4 day break from even recording, but this is the height map in Photoshop. I have all of the jumps now. I'm happy with the jumps, I'm happy with the scaling of them. Now it's time where I've just started on the ruts. I've got ruts in a few corners. Now, I'm learning a lot about this game and how bikes handle ruts. So ruts like this this center one here, which are just like perfect 180s, quite deep, really smooth, the game absolutely loves. Anything other than that, it's not a massive fan. It's really difficult because I don't want it to just be a wide open track everywhere. I've got corners like this one here, which you can't see too well because of the shadows actually, but I want ruts to kind of go back and forth across each other. So we've got this outside line here which starts out wide and then it cuts back across to this one. If you start the corner in either of these two ruts, you drift out in towards this outside berm that you can't see too well because of the grass overlapping. Just to split things up a bit, I want it to be a little bit different. This corner right here, unintentionally, has become like one of the best corners on the track. I might even make it a sand corner. Like, you can stand up and rail this outside so well. And I thought I'd try and experiment with just like a rough overless roller coming out the corner as well. And I'm learning a lot. I really am, and I'm enjoying the process as well. And we're getting closer and closer to completion. I've just been trying to run just a whole bunch of laps, trying to make sure all of the ruts are even to each other. Things like this, where the outside would be perceived as quite OP, I've put a little roller coming on the outside of it as well. This jump's actually quite fun to get Len over sideways on. We've got some just like sandy-ish kind of long ruts through this corner, and I'm almost done in terms of ruts overall. I like this little split here. If you rail around the outside, you can go triple single. Go on the inside, you can go table double. This corner needs a little bit of tweaking. This inside is far too tight. The bike gets all sorts of weird and wonderful janky physics, but we are getting there. I need to do something in this corner. I might add another rut or two, but after that, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 corners left to go, and then the ruts will be done. And I just want to add some very, very mellow roughing. I don't want it to be super choppy or anything, because I think that will take away from a bunch of the fun. But it's coming along nicely. It really, really is. I'll take a little video of a lap around the track as well, just so you see how all the jumps flow together and the ruts work. Never really know the best place to start a lap around here. I need to work out where I'm going to start in general. But show you a little bit of a lap here, show you what we're working with. I'm just going to try and go very slowly and very easy, so hopefully not wad myself, because that would not be the best example of it. But I am going to try and rail this outside a little bit. Go up on the pegs, around the outside. Oh, so nice. That's my favourite corner that I've made by far. And I may as well... I don't know. I'm only going to do one lap. I'm not going to mix and match all the different routes. I want to leave that for all of you guys to kind of discover and work out what's fast and what isn't. So I do want to try and triple into this section. I hope I get it right. Yeah, yeet. Oh, we've overjumped it a little bit. I will show you how this inside right's a bit boof though. Oh, that actually went okay. And I actually managed to get over the tabletop as well. Okay, I mean, I guess I've just kind of ruined my own opinion there, but it's fine, it's fine. These bits haven't touched yet in regards to the ruts. I'm just like slowly working my way around the entire track. It's taken a hell of a long time. Trying to balance ruts and make them flow smoothly and work with this game's physics is actually a very, very difficult thing to do. And I'm probably going to say it many times throughout this video. I have no idea how long it will be by the end of it, with all of the laps and updates and such, but I have such a bigger respect for track builders now than I ever did before. And I feel like I was very grateful beforehand, and now this is just completely different. You know, this has really opened my eyes to just how difficult this whole thing is to do. And I do need to work on my overlay, because the overlay looks pretty gross right now, but have no fear, it will all be properly textured and stuff before it's released. You're not going to be getting it released like this. Love, again, this little split section, either going quad or double. And that's a lap we've got to so far. That is the end of week 1, and I think I'm about 40 hours deep into making this track so far. Right, we finally got the height map finished. I've rotated the track so that the corners of it don't sit so close to the edge of the map now, so I just need to do some work on the boundaries so you can't actually see just the flat plane falling off the edge of the cliff. And as I go around, I've done a very, very bare minimal mask so you can actually see the bumps and the dirt now, but this will all be changed moving forwards as well. So we've got ruts done, jumps done, bits of rough dotted in here and there. They're quite uniform bumps, to be fair, but they don't kind of give the bike any unexpected surprises. As I'm running more and more laps, whether it be on a 250 or a 450, I'm just making the occasional tweak here and there, just of the ruts. Like, for example, these ruts here, they kind of hooked too far to the left coming out, so I've straightened them up a little bit more. And then I've also kind of decided on a start now, so I'm going to... start needs to be made a little bit wider, and I'll probably bring it back a bit more too. But it's going to go through the middle of the track here. I'm not going to put anything on this straight. I'm going to leave it blank so the start's nice and easy, and then we're just going to single over these ruts and then just continue the lap as is normal, and then I'll just try and decide which jump I want to be a finish line jump at some point. I feel like it should be one of the big boys, maybe the big boy in the middle there. I'm very, very happy with it. I will quickly just show you an onboard lap as well so you get an idea of what we're working with, and then I get all the painstaking bit of moving on to making it try and look pretty as well. I'm actually really terrible at keeping up to date with like these update videos. Like, time flies. I get so invested in something and then I completely forget to like record my progress at all. So my height map is all fully finished. Like, it's done. I'm not touching it again. And then at the same time, I've been messing around with texturing for a couple of days now, and I can't really get something that I'm super happy with. I think a combination of it is the textures that I'm finding online. Another combination of it is just my Photoshop skills with the masking. It's very difficult to do well. So I think I'm gonna leave it on what I've got now. You know, when you're riding on the track, this texture is very easy to see the ruts. I like the sun position. I've made it a bit lower, so the ruts are a lot easier to see as well. You won't be able to see it too well. It's very faint. But on the inside of all the ruts and on the top of the bumps, I've made it a slightly different colour to make it stand out more too. And of course the on track, off track, and then grass is different. I did try and make my own 3D grass. She's a little bit rough around the edges. You can see some like white bits from Photoshop that I weren't able to get rid of. But when you're riding, you don't see that at all. And I want to show you now what I've been working on is trying to learn this whole Blender thing, which is not an easy experience. I do want to say, like, there's many tutorials out there which Epic W and then ask a few questions in Discord as well. But I'm currently working on the process of getting all of these little, like, is it a Cerbis, a Cherbis, whichever way you want to pronounce it, stakes in the ground. So we're going about getting them done. I'm trying to like get all the rotation so they're like kind of facing towards you as much as possible as you're riding around. And this is it's probably been one of the hard bits for me, is trying to learn how to use Blender overall. I've never opened it until this project really, but it's a very impressive program. I love how you can like see where you're putting the objects in real time. It's not like you got to keep going into game over and over again. I just wish there was an easier way of moving around. Like moving around in this Blender's it's a massive pain in the butt. But all good so far. For some reason, some of these stakes, I copy and pasted a bunch as I was flying around the map overall. And for some reason, if I click on one, let me click on one. It will. For some reason, they're slightly rotated. So this is like X, Y, and Z axis. Z is the way they're facing, so I'm fine with that. But for some reason, they're slightly tilted in terms of facing just directly upward. So I'm now having to go back through and readjust each and every single one. There is 238 of them, so that's not a W. But that's the update on where I'm at so far. So in terms of height and stuff, it's all done. I think I could spend days and days on end messing around with textures to try and get it somewhere that I'd like. But I think for the sake of a first project now, I'm happy that you can see all the ruts and the bumps properly. So I'm going to leave it as is. So now it's just a case of getting all the objects where I need them. I might put a few bales kind of like here in the first corner to stop people go flying over the other parts of the track, and then after that maybe some like semis and stuff in the pits along here. This is where the pits are IRL, and after that I'll be pretty happy. I'll probably put some trees around the outskirts as well, so you can't see the edges of the map quite so easily. And yeah, really good progress. I've been learning so much this whole journey. So about 2 days worth of object placing, 2,000 different objects in total. That includes all these trees that are dotted around the outside. A lot of questions in Discord and a lot of trial and error. I have finally got to a point where I feel like I'm 90% of the way there in terms of objects. I was really trying to make this pit area look like an actual pit with just varying vans and trucks and semis, etc. Now I just need to try and actually get it into game and see what it looks like, because I feel like it'll bring a whole lot more just life to the track in general. I'm very excited to see how it goes. Okay, I had quite a few headaches where I was trying to export everything at once, but I've broken it down by section. So, like the vehicles are their own file, trees are another file, etc. So, this is what we've ended up with in the Resolute Kraken Track Builder, where it's all broken and put in there. Now I just need to press the go button, which apparently takes a very, very long time, and I'm crossing my fingers that it works and it actually appears in game for me. I see trees in the background. Oh, I'm excited for this. Right, I'm gonna fly above the map. See my boat. Oh, where are we? Where are we? Right, we're on the outskirts. So what I've done as well to try and stop you seeing off the edge of the map is I've included this just like two-dimensional plane of trees around the outside to cover it all up. Right, I'm gonna fly above. Oh, that just adds a lot more life to it. Oh god, the pits! Oh, the pits look so cool, man. Oh, I've got a bit of a cringy smile on my face here. I'm very, very surprised. This is so like weird having your creation that you've spent days and days and days sweating over kind of taking shape and coming together. It just makes the whole place look a lot less empty. We've got our freestyle ramps over in the distance over there for any of you freestyle guys. It's very, very bright. It's very green. I didn't expect it to be this green. I'm going to have to go back through, I think, and adjust this grass. I don't really like the look of it and just where it's kind of placed as well. You know, I'd like it to go to the edge of the actual grass itself. I'm sure there's probably some areas where it's overlapping the track where it probably shouldn't do. I mean, like right there, for example, there shouldn't be any grass on sand. I like the shadows as well. I like the kind of like low sun effect. So we've got some sections that are a bit darker, might be a bit harder to see the track itself on. I'm a very, very happy man. We've got a big empty section over here. Wondering, I might put like a turn track or something in just to fill up the space. Because that is a lot of empty space. I don't just like spam another 1,000 trees down. But my god. Oh, it's worked. So what I've got left to do now is to sort the start straight out properly, because that is not wide enough for 40 riders. I need to do the actual timing, so the centerline stuff. I would like to experiment with skybox, so it's not a stock skybox. And then maybe I want to try and add a little bit more like variation in these trees, because they're all very, very like samey to each other. It looks very repetitive. And then just some final touches and we might actually have a finished track. I'm a very, very happy man. It looks so good. After spinning a couple laps of the track, I realised that I'm really not happy with how the trees look as you're riding around. They're very samey. They're all uniform, you know, they're all facing the same direction. So with the help of a lot of questions in the Earthworks Discord, as well as a couple of Blender tutorials on YouTube, we've gone from looking like this, that you see in front of you right now, to looking like this, where the trees are a lot more varied, they're a lot more scattered, they change in size and rotations, they're not all facing the same way, and it just looks a lot more natural, and I'm very, very happy with this and how it's come out. I need to go through and do a lot of final touches now, because I've changed one or two bits of the track. Like I've made this takeoff a little bit steeper on this jump here. This tabletop over here I've made a little bit shorter because you couldn't get over it on a 250 even wide open. So some of the stakes that I placed down previously, these little bad boys down here, they don't fully line up with the jump faces anymore. So I just have to go through, double check what's what, see where things line up. So you see where I've made this jump shorter, where this stake would have been lining up with it before, it's now floating in the air. So I need to go through and change that. Yeah, these trees just look so much better, but now they're all more random rather than all being uniform and the same. I've also added in a little bit of a water, I guess like pond slash lake bit right here, with a water, just extra bits, just trying to bring the track to life a little bit more. It's a lot brighter than I ever expected it to be. I do like the shadows that are being cast around again. I think I mentioned that last time I pressed record. And then I just done a little bit of tweaking here and there. I've done most of my testing on a 450. So then hopping on the 250 and riding around, there's a few jumps, like this jump here was just impossible. So we've shortened it, I've moved the stakes so they're all in line with where they should be now, and getting very close to being done, if I'm completely honest. I'm not going to go as far as trying to add in some like tyre or like digger, skid tyre marks, whatever you want to call them. I'm pretty happy with how it is. I'm probably just going to spin a bunch of laps, test out all the lines, make sure everything's viable, and then I've just got to do like the timing gates and getting all the starts and where you spawn in the pit sorted. I ended up not going with a turn track in the end. I thought for the sake of time and wanting to get the track out to you guys sooner rather than probably taking another couple of weeks, I'd just leave the height map with what it is right now. But really happy. I didn't expect it to be coming out as good as it is. I think it looks a lot better than I ever expected it to. And I think if I was to try and compare it to other people's first release tracks in terms of looks, I think it's up there. You know, it's pretty good. Not the absolute work of arts that you see uploaded by the long-term track makers, but for someone like me who has had to learn lots and lots of programs throughout this process, I'm a very, very happy man. So today I've probably lost count of the amount of things I've kind of touched upon. I've done like some fine tuning of the masking for like grass and the track, etc. So there's no overlap from the grass being on dirt when there shouldn't be. Changing the grass colour a little bit to a slightly darker colour to make it look a bit more natural. Changing the height map in places a little bit just to make sure that 250s can get over all the jumps as well. What else have I done so far today? I've done the entirety of this centre line here. I'm not even going to try and explain what goes into this. Jesse Milok has an amazing tutorial that goes through it all step by step, so massive shout out to him. I would have been hopeless in getting the timing right. I have tested it, timings are working, cuts are working properly, so very, very happy with that. And then I've also adjusted the pit area as well, because in here, if I try and show you quickly, race data, load, and pit. So if you can see here, all of these little red markers are where you spawn, like everyone spawns, and there was areas where you'd like spawn inside of a truck, for example. So I've made it so you can spawn out in the open, or you can spawn underneath like an awning, or easy up, whichever you want to refer to it as. So you shouldn't be spawning inside any vehicles, I hope. Maybe the odd one or two, it's not the end of the world. And other than that, just final finishing touches. I'm very, very happy with how it's gone. At this exact moment in time, I've sent the link to the track in the Track Creators Discord, just for them to fly around and see if there's any glaring issues. But fingers crossed, tomorrow could be the day that I upload this thing. Well, actually, whenever you see this video, is probably the day when the track's been uploaded. I have no idea. I'm all playing it by ear. I'm going to load into the game, and I'm going to show you a lap of the quote-unquote finished track. And I've also made like a cute little picture over there as well. I think that's quite enticing, like quite bright, makes it look nice. Little logo in there, violins, all good stuff. Let me turn the road on as well, just to make sure that that's all working as it should be. It'd be awful if I release the track and then it turns out that it's pretty damn boofed. Okay, so we spawn in the right place. That is always a good sign. So, let's go to track, if it will let me. Let's go in first person, and let's just do a lap. I want to see how it goes. She's nice and bright. Right, do want to throw out there that I never intended originally for these shadows to be as long as they are, but I actually really enjoy how they've come out. It adds like another layer of difficulty to the track overall. So, we come off the start. We go across the track, we hook a left, we jump over this corner for the ruts, and the whole shot is right here on this tabletop. So if you get into an online lobby and you're around the first corner and you've not got the whole shot, that's why. It's going to take off the jump instead. That jump there I made smaller for the 250s to get up and over. This little section is a bit more difficult than I planned originally, but that's because of the shadows kind of hiding some of the bumps and the ruts. But I'm going to keep it like that. I think it's a really nice feature. We can go double through here, or you go single, double, single, over this tabletop, round to the right hand side, through the sand rollers, which is one of my favourite aspects of the entire track. I like that they kind of work out perfectly as rollers, you're not just like bouncing your way through. This bit of the track, probably one of the more difficult bits. It's where the rough gets a little bit more sharp. Along this straight as well, it's easy for the bike to get a little bit unsettled. This jump here, I made a tiny bit shorter, just so the 250s have ease to get up and over it. Round to the right, this massive jump that we come up to now is actually the start, well, it's the finish line. You see the timer at the top left has just started, now that we've hit that. Round to the left. This tabletop has stayed the same, quite easy to hit on a 2 or a 450. This jump I made a tiny bit smaller as well, just so the 250 has ease getting over it. Down into the sand. I think it all looks very, very pretty behind me. I'm very happy with that overall. Round to the left, up and over this bad boy. And then hook around to the right over the tabletop, cutting back across the start straight where it was. Right here is sector 1. Should be sector 1, there it is, yep, so about 32 seconds or so to get to sector 1. Round to the right, we can go over the tabletop and double, or you can go round and go triple single, whichever you'd prefer. Back round to the left over here, and that is an entire lap in a sense. The other split is on the takeoff of that tabletop to my right, and then obviously you've got the finish line as well. So, at this moment in time, I think I'm done. I think I'm happy with it. I'm just waiting to see if anybody gets back to me with any like glaring issues that I may have missed. But I'm so happy, man. Like, this has taken me such a long time. In fact, how long has it taken? Let me have a quick look at Resolute's tool. It's taken me 3 days and 10 hours in total. So what's that? 24, 48, 72, 82. I would argue that it's actually been longer than that with all the time that I've spent in Blender without the Resolute Kraken tool being open at all. So I would probably round it up to about 90 hours or so in total for this track, which if you put that into perspective, you have people like JV banging out GP quality tracks every single week. And that is disgusting to me. Hopefully the process speeds up with time. It definitely won't be the last track that I make by any means. I'll take a little bit of a break in between because I've actually been stressing about trying to get this out because obviously I'm going away on Saturday is it the 31st or is it the 1st? I have no idea how many days are in June, so I apologise. Yeah, I'm going away, so I wanted to get it done before I go so everyone has some fun riding it. And then when I get back, everyone will be really good at it and we can do some racing. But I hope you've kind of enjoyed that whole documentation process. I have no idea how this video is going to turn out overall. As I say, it's just been little clips here and there that when I've remembered to record each day, there's probably bits in there that I've missed out entirely, which I do apologise for. But in the description of this video, I will put any links I found helpful, whether it's Resolute Kraken's tutorials, TFC's tutorials, Jesse's tutorial, for example, on the timing, and I'm actually quite happy that it's all over. I could probably spend weeks on this, you know, fine-tuning things, trying to make it look a little bit more pretty than it is already. But I think for a first track, I've kind of achieved what I want to achieve, and then hopefully any future tracks from this point onwards will be even bigger and better. So massive thank you to everyone that has helped me throughout this process. Like everyone in the Earthworks Discord has been amazing. Like any questions I've had, they've all answered super quickly and very simply as well, like put it in very basic terms for me to understand, so thank you very much. Thank you guys for all the support when I keep showing you little like check-ins on the streams and such, and let me know your thoughts on the track as well. I'll be very intrigued to see what you think of it overall. That's going to do it from me. Do drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, all that good stuff. Hope you have a lovely rest of the day, whatever you're up to, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.